game's already started, so let's go ahead and hop on in and introduce our players. Starting in the bottom left, we have Select from Team Dignitas, the Red Terran, who's not only just good at StarCraft, he's actually phenomenal at poker too. And I remember because I was with Select, and I was like, Select, you know how to play poker? He's like, maybe, yeah, I play here and there. And then he does that like coin, he does the chip flip thing where he does like a bunch of tricks. And I'm like, oh,
Oh.
I'm like,
There's like the reverse gravity thing.
Yeah, it's like, well, does anyone know how to play poker? And they do like a waterfall, or like they do like the most elaborate card tricks ever. And it's like, yeah, maybe know how.
I played a couple times before in my life. It's like, ugh.
And they do like a false cut, and they do like all these crazy card tricks. I'm like, wow. It's like, yeah, it's like I know how to play basketball, and they like go and do a 360 windmill dunk. It's like, okay, maybe.
All right, well, his opponent will be the Canadian Zerg over here, Legion Kane, who's spawning as the blue Zerg.
Yes.
Now, Kane, definitely one of the players that you haven't heard much about, but he does stream a lot. You can find out on teamliquid.net.
Yep.
And he actually streams with commentary. I've caught it like once, and I remember saying, okay, this guy knows what he's talking about. That's awesome, because a lot of players don't necessarily...
Yeah, they kind of just sit there and play and put music, but
yeah.
you know, he's one of those guys that really tries to add dimension to his play, dimension to his stream by commenting over his play. So definitely check it out if you can, or follow him on Twitter at KaneSC2. And of course, Kane is on Team Legion, a team that has a lot of players that are very underrated in the scene, including Gix, who's currently training in the Team Razor Academy with Mr. Bitter. Gix is pretty high up on the ladder, and he's been very close to qualifying for MLG arenas and whatnot. And other players on the team like Reborn, who used to be part of my clan back in the day, who trained with FOU, which is now FXO.
Amazing how.
So it's a pretty small world just seeing all these players collaborate, as well as like other players on their team like Avillo and
the Avillo.
And Carmi. So
not just Avillo, the Avillo.
The Avillo. Of course, this is TVZ, and Select has shown really strong macro. Select is also really capable of doing like just the 2 racks and really pressuring. So the fact that Kane doesn't scout Select is just showing that he really trusts Select will play macro. And a lot of Zergs honestly have been off-putting scouting early on, but at the same time, I wouldn't be too far pressed to say drone scout a little bit if you don't trust them.
Yeah. Well, with the Overlord upgrade.
The upgrade.
the patch change that happened eons ago, I think just relying on this Overlord saying, is there a command center or is there not a command center is pretty sufficient. Although some Terrans have been a little bit trickier, and I have seen this. They make the command center on the high ground, and actually forces a much bigger reaction out of the Zergs because they're like, oh, you're not going 1 racks expand or CC first? I need to react really crazy, defend. And then you find out that the Terran is actually taking their economic routes. And you're like, oh, crap.
Yeah, a great scouted. I think the pinnacle game was OG's top versus Scarlet last week on this map.
Yeah.
It was the 2 racks from top, and Scarlet didn't scout that command center on the low ground because, top made it on the high ground. Really played tricky based off that knowledge. Now look at this. Andre, look at this build. We see a 1-gas Hellion.
This is a pretty good
Hellion opening, and he's following it with 2 more barracks. This is the exact build that Gretorp has been talking about for a long time. It's a variation of Marine King and Demuslim's build that really focuses on early game Hellions to control the map, but you follow with a lot of Marines, and you can rush out Stim and go for a huge timing on Zerg's 3rd.
Absolutely. You can also get combat shields. I know a lot of people have been, going back and forth whether combat shields or Stim is the better option. I prefer Stim still, because I'm thinking to myself, well, Marine Hellion, you really don't want to be caught in a position where you're up against roaches and you're committed to the battle no matter what. So I want to be able to actually get away. From here, natural progression is actually to go for Command Center directly after this, but Select is changing up ever so slightly, getting a tech lab and a reactor instead of double reactors. This is actually going to force all of his gas away from actually getting something like upgrades, 1-1, etc. And it will be more focused on actually eliminating this hatchery over here.
Yeah, and he's sprinkling in Marauders, so he's not using that early gas, because I know, Andre, from this point on, some people throw on double engineering base, tries to get upgrades where they try to tech really quickly to medevacs, but instead he's using the early gas to just get us a couple Marauders so he can also deal with any kind of imminent roaches that might come out, or even banelings, depending on how good your micro is. And at this point, Select is just pretty much controlling the map as planned, but I don't think Kane's really changed his plans whatsoever, pretty much getting everything at a comfortable time now, getting up 4 gases, and has a pretty healthy drone count in the mid-50s.
It is important to note that Kane will know exactly when his opponent is pushing out. This Overlord positioning is beautiful. It allows him to actually see everything. Maybe, I'm sorry, there is a little tiny slit on the bottom where maybe Select can actually come out from, but still he will have to take the long way around, making this very S-shaped motion. Instead, Kane is going to see everything since Select goes out the front door.
Yeah.
And this is great for Kane because he knows, okay, well, I see Marauders, I see Marines. I should actually prepare right now for some sort of imminent threat. There shouldn't be any more drones being thrown down right now. This should be the last of the drones until he knows he will be able to defend against this imminent threat.
6 Billings on the way and a few more Zerglings, although Kane will have to pretty much stall for a little bit more time because he needs a lot more units if he wants to deal with it. The Hellions throw such a wrench into things, especially with no concrete units to deal with the Hellions. The Banelings are also done morphing, but the Hellions are trying to target him immediately, and Select does a massive stim, leaving the Marauders back. An excellent play, but thus far, but he has to make sure to protect the Hellion counts and the Marine. Select also forced to stim yet again, but it doesn't matter. He dealt with the Banelings, and Kane not necessarily able to protect his third again. You can see more Zerglings and Banelings are in production, but Select has a great position. And look at the split from the army in case any Banelings come out immediately.
Beautifully done. The only thing is he's spiking up a little bit in mineral. Select has still conquered his opponent. This third base position is so important. Now another round of units coming in here. Zerglings, Banelings galore. It looks like it's going to be enough to clean everything up, but it doesn't matter. The damage has already been done, and from here, Select has a lot of different transitions. He can go into an expansion and continually be aggressive. And there it is. The command center is going down. He is getting +1/1 directly behind this. Look, he's going to do more pressure, and there's never a chance for Kane to actually start up again in drones because this consistent pressure will be very cost efficient against everything Kane does.
Well, you know, Kane is sprinkling a few drones here and there, but for the most part, you're right. The fact that Select can keep pressuring and just force Kane to not commit his larva to his economy at all.
Yeah.
You can see that the worker count is pretty even at this point, 52 to 49, 51 now. Select catching up very quickly. Though a silver lining, though, is that Kane did finish his upgrade, so he does have that temporary advantage. And the fact that, you know, even though Select did a good job marking, he did have his resources spike up, so he could have his tech a little bit more developed.
Definitely. And Infestor's on the way out right now. You know, I didn't actually see the 1/1, so that now that you mention it, actually Mass Circling should be able to defend against it. Infestor's on the way out, which will help immensely against this bio army with a couple Hellions sprinkled in. I love both these players' positions, honestly. I think it is a good way to actually just play standard from here. I think Select should have technically got a little bit more damage done from that attack, but still everything's looking really good, except this with Banelings smashing on every single one of those bio units, and Select will lose the rest of his army. Unfortunate for him.
That was actually really costly because now Select doesn't really have map presence whatsoever because siege tanks are out, which reduces his mobility, and he does have a third command center, but he has to wait for a little bit more time before he's able to really secure it. Select at the same time now pretty much going for a huge production surge. You can see he's going up for a lot more barracks and an additional factory. And at this point, Kane's going to go ahead and take the initiative for his 4th base. So this is a very good job. Even though Kane got hit economically pretty hard, he's doing a phenomenal job keeping himself relevant in this game.
Yes. Well, I think Kane is actually ahead here. It's unfortunate. I think just too many units were thrown away. Zergling's going to surround a couple of Marines, but really just stagger this production of the 3rd base. This is exactly what you want to do. But knowing that your opponent is really relegated, seeing the siege tank count just being started now, you know your opponent really doesn't have the chances of doing anything too huge. If you actually check the upgrades, he would have seen 1/1 just finished. That means you have 190 seconds before the push is actually coming, or I would say
at
maybe
least.
100. Yeah, at least. But prepare. 3 minutes, that's your time. That's the countdown timer. Prepare for that 3 minutes and get everything that you need to, whether it be hive tech, whether it be just a lot of layer tech, and from there, just play it very efficiently.
Now, you're exactly right, too, considering that Kane has his hive already almost done, basically, and he's pumping out drones very easily, going to be up at 90+ drones. And now Kane can pretty much work on his hive tech upgrades. He has 2-2 finish. He can start adrenal glands and get +3/+3. And Select really can't do much about it because he's busy setting up his 3rd economy. And this is just putting Kane in a very good position. And Cloud Kingdom towards that mid-late game stage puts Zerg in a very nice spot if you can just have a lot of mobility because the counterattack spots are very nice.
For sure.
And that's why usually you see like amazing creep spread on Reddit. It's usually on maps like Ohana or Cloud Kingdom because of those paths.
Yeah, and you really need to actually focus on that.
Yeah.
That's something that a lot of, I think, the general public don't realize. It's maps like Ohana, maps like Cloud Kingdom, where counterattacks and getting around the map to actually establish your base is so important. Those are the maps where you really have to get that, or else you're dead. You won't be able to win a game if you don't have creep spread. But maps like, let's say, Tal'Darim Ultra, the super big maps where
or like
it's
Entombed
really
Valley.
impossible to get that. That's more of a luxury. You don't expect that. You actually prepare for not defending against it.
You see that Select is just trying to increase his map presence by dropping and, getting a good gauge of his opponent's army, what stage of development they're at. You see Select also dropping on the right side. His left drop got caught, but force a cancel. Oh, no, he doesn't force a cancel. He kills it. That's actually a small, meager victory there, while Select is still pretty much very comfortably macroing at this point. You can see Kane is also developing his tech. He's going to go for a Spire and an Ultra's Cavern simultaneously. And so I guess Kane is just going to develop both sides of his Hive tech, which is pretty cool.
A lot of times you do that because you want to get some sort of Hive tech build. Of course, the Ultraless Cavern is what's coming to mind. You want to get that Ultras out just to have a little bit of punch against that first initial pressure, and then you can transition nicely into something like, air. By the way, where is that second Ultra Den? Oh, he canceled it. Okay, it was over here. There was another Ultra Den. Yeah, he accidentally made another one. But in this position, I mean, Select has to push out. If he doesn't push out here and trade efficiently, he's actually dead. Because if he lets a Zerg just go unopposed, doing whatever they want, Broodlords is so powerful. And if you have like this, I guess this type of low tier or low mid-tier type of composition against Broodlords, you will be eating the dust every single time. There's just no way to actually deal with this efficiently.
Well, Select is moving out at this point, and there's a lot of Ultras about to pop, so this is playing right into Kane's moment. He has almost full energy on his Infestors as well. And Kane has over 100 Zerglings, although he has a little bit too many workers for my taste. He has 90 at this point. He could try to trade in some of those for Spine Calls or whatnot, at least to protect some of his tech. I love the fact that he's surrounding his Spire with Spore Crawlers. And at this point, Kane is just trying to really pick a good moment, see if he can catch the tanks unsieged, but Select is doing this very systematically. Oh, but he's going for mass unsieges at the same time. A little bit risky, but Select thus far has been playing very good positionally.
Chitin is plating, and 3-3 has finished, and he's going to go in right now. And the Banelings won't crash on any of the Marines and Marauders, but it's just too much. Fungal Growth is going to go down, catching all of those Marines and Marauders. The Ultras are going to clean up everything. Select forced to evacuate. That trade guaranteed Kane's victory right there. Kane is actually going to remax an additional Ultras and Zerglings, Infestors even as well. Top right hand expansion, top right hand Medevac gets cleaned up as well. And Select is just going to struggle to actually get back in this game. But the units lost tab just too close. Terran needs to be a lot more cost efficient than this.
Yeah, but you're absolutely right, Andre. A couple of things, though, is that Select did manage to deal with the Infestor count. In fact, there are 0 Infestors on the map until those 4 that Kane remade, so that's a small win there. And the idea, you can see that Select want to transition back into Bio, take a lot of map control, and really use the mobility, especially if there's no fungals. Bio can pretty much out-micro and be very cost-efficient against the Ling Ultra Baneling for a long time. But the fact is, he lost way too much, especially with the Siege tanks just getting absolutely demolished by the Ultralist AoE. And at this point, Select doesn't even have that 4th base very secure, because the fact is Kane can just pretty much bombard this base while running back at the same time. Select can try to go for a huge trade, but at this point, there's just so much Zerg army that Select has to do this very carefully.
Select is doing it right, though. He's taking out this 4th base over here in the mid left-hand position. That will stagger the Zerg ever so slightly, but they are maxed. Don't forget about that. 4 Vikings on the way out, anticipating that change, anticipating that his opponent is going to switch into Broodlords. But right now, I think Select really needs to worry about this huge army of Ultras and Zerglings and Banelings that can crash against Terran Force and trade so cost efficiently.
I love the fact that at this point, Select is really keeping his Marauders in front as well to really target some of those Ultras and slow them down. The Banes are rolling straight to the SCVs, though, and looks like Select will not be able to protect them whatsoever. The Bio is really far behind. You can see that Select is getting his 3rd completely sieged at this point. Kane breaks through. He wants to land a huge fungal on the army, but the Marines and Marauders are cutting and splitting. Great job thus far from Select, but the dance from the Ultras as well. Kane saying, leave this game. You have no place on Cloud Kingdom. As you can see, Select's supply is very poor at this point compared to the maxed army from our Zerg player.
Oh my goodness. And dancing yet again, really shoving it into Select's face. But Select is able to clean up a little bit of the Ultralist count. The Medivacs are going to be going down, though, unfortunately, to just a couple infested Terrans and Fungals. But still, look at the supplies, 120 to 200, 200. Right now, Kane is just maxing out yet again Ultras, Zerglings, and Corruptors. This is going to be just a never-ending attack against the 4th base. Select, though, he's not done yet. He wants to keep going, and Select is known for actually having the fighting spirit of Hasuabs.
Yeah, just never quitting until his last medevac with Marines are going to drop. But, of course, Select going to go again for another run by sniping expansions. Now, even though Select's done a good job at doing this, Kane's has been banking a lot. His remax potential is still through the roof. You can see that he does almost take out that expansion, but now with the Corruptors in sight, Select knows Broodlords are incoming.
Oh, he's going to get the hatchery, but that is a very small win. Kane has an expansion in this right-hand side that I don't think Select knows about. No, he doesn't, although the creep should actually give it away a little bit, but still, that is unfortunate for Select, as he's just trying to get expansions. It's just so hard to do that with 120 supply.
He can't. He's going to lose his 4th base as well, and Select has to defend this ramp, or that is it. The Ultra is trying to force himself. A little bit of an awkward engagement for Kane, but he just has so many tier 3 units. It's absolutely absurd. There's only Ultras at this point and a couple of Banelings to reinforce, but that is going to be enough. The Corruptors immediately dispatch the rest of the Vikings, and another dance. And this is just ridiculous. Kane has just so many units.
Yeah, I mean, Kane can do whatever he wants. GG gets called out. And that will end the run of Select. Kane will take it. Sup, son. Oh, my God. I can't believe you just did that.
Kane saying sup, son to the inventor of sup, son.
Yeah.
The irony of that situation.
Oh, man. Kane. Kane taking out Select after Select had a very successful attack. You know, going back into that, I really put Select so far ahead, but I completely mistreated that. I think the 1-1 was so important, and the fact that Select didn't get a command center behind that. You need to get a command center directly behind that pressure, because keeping up with Zerg 3-base economy is very difficult, especially if there's a macro hatch up or if there's some sort of, I want to say, light switch where all of a sudden their army becomes so much better. That is 1-1, that is Baneling speed, that is Infestor tech. So any of those 3 are really what shuts down all of those pressure. I didn't see the light switch, unfortunately.
That's
and that really puts a damper on Terran. He needed to actually have a little bit of faster 2-2 push as well. But Kane, I think, overall just played that beautifully. I mean, the way he stopped and waited for 3-3 and Chitinous Plating to finish, the way he engaged every time, he deserved that win and the $75 that's going to come with it.
Great balance as well in terms of defending the constant aggression, making just enough while still being able to squeeze out drones. We thought he wouldn't be able to, but more often than not, Zerg don't pick as good engagements as what Kane did. So he takes the win. He is officially the one holding the gauntlet for now. So we're 3 games in. We'll see who's going to face off against Kane when we come back from a commercial break. Don't go anywhere. More action from Rancho Cucamonga Studio right after this.